Good morning. Unit 6.4 is going to be about the effect of policies on the foreign exchange market. So when we talk about policies, what I mean is expansionary and contractionary fiscal policy and expansionary and contractionary monetary policies. So these policies are going to have effect on the foreign exchange market the same way that these policies would affect it's a trickle-down effect, basically. Whatever happens when our countries enact policies is going to affect our aggregate demand, GDP, our price level, the interest rate, and that will affect our exports or imports and determine whether that country's currency becomes CID or WES. So anytime you have changes to the foreign exchange graphs, as in if we have changes to the dollar market appreciating and the euro market depreciating, if they're trade partners, what that would do for that country can be based on these policies. So if that happens, realize that if you need to change some of those graphs and you have CID and WES, those could be results of the policies. Your second topic question is going to be a decrease in monetary policy, and they're going to ask you things like what open market operation could get this country out of an inflationary gap. So, for example, open market operation, they would sell bonds to make small bucks. That would make capital flow into the country, and that would happen with these high interest rates. So, contractionary policy, remember that anything that makes the interest rate increase, like right here when we decrease the money supply with open market operations, if it's contractionary, it makes the interest rate increase, that's going to make people not borrow, and that will pull us down out of the inflationary gap. However, the positive part is, remember, in foreign exchange, high interest rates will bring in capital flows because our trading partners are going to see our high interest rates in our banks, and they're going to put money into our banks. So that will make money go into the country. And so that term capital flow is going to be about those actual dollars that are attracted to our high interest rates. Another thing they could give you, like topic question 3, if you have a recessionary gap, what monetary policy would restore full employment, and what is the consequence on currency? Well, we could do an open market operation. Buy bonds makes big bucks, and that would make the money supply increase, and therefore interest rates would decrease. And when that happens, gross private investment would go up. However, since interest rates are decreasing, our capital flows are going to be less because our interest rates don't look good. Our aggregate demand would increase, but that's a different scenario. So this open market operation would make the value of the US dollar decrease because foreign countries aren't going to want to put money into our low interest rate paying accounts. So let's walk through the 4 possible scenarios and what happens. Kind of a review, but if we have expansionary fiscal policy, that makes aggregate demand go up. Unfortunately, when GDP increases, price level goes up, and interest rates are a price, aren't they? So those would go up as well. And if that happens, if our price levels are up, on our exports are going to decrease, our imports are going to increase. If we have a contractionary fiscal policy, something to get us out of an inflationary gap, aggregate demand would go down, that would make our price levels go down, that would make our interest rates go down, and what would happen to our exports is if our price levels are down, our exports are going to increase because of our relatively low price levels and cheaper goods and services. That means our imports would decrease as well. So when something like that happens, are people going to want our currencies or not want our currencies with expansionary and contractionary policies? Well, let's look at the interest rate as far as capital flows go, and that's an important thing. So if interest rates are high, then our currency is going to become stronger. And I'm going to say exchange rate, our currency becomes stronger because people are going to seek high returns on those interest rates. In this case, our currency will become weaker, or the E for exchange rate, because the low interest rates are not going to attract capital flows. Now let's look over at expansionary monetary policy. The whole point is to make aggregate demand increase, and the way we can do that with an expansionary monetary policy is by targeting low interest rates. Okay? If low interest rates, remember, investment's going to increase, that's going to make aggregate demand and GDP go up, and therefore our price levels will go up. What we're looking, though, is these interest rates. So if the interest rates are low, even though our prices are high, if our prices are high, our exports are going to decrease because our stuff is expensive. Our imports are going to increase because goods and services in other countries are cheaper for us. But these interest rates are not going to attract any capital inflows. So our exchange rate is going to decrease. If we have a contractionary monetary policy, we want aggregate demand to decrease. And if that happens, we're looking to do that by raising interest rates, by open market operations, reserve ratios, however we do it. And unfortunately, when our aggregate demand decreases, it is going to make our price levels go down, which is successful. These high interest rates are going to stave off domestic investment, but what they will do is they'll increase capital flows because people will be seeking our high interest rates. And when they seek the high interest rates, that's going to make the value of our currency go up because our stuff will be in demand. When our currency goes up in demand, that makes our dollars more expensive. So when our dollars are more expensive, that makes our exports decrease and our imports increase.